Hey there, this is Mark with alchemist.camp, and my whole build is broken. I don't know what happened exactly, but Nanobox just stopped working. And Nanobox is what I've been using for all the deploys of both alchemist.camp and then the side project statwatch.me. And unfortunately, if I try to run it locally, well, it doesn't matter, locally, or try to do a dry run deployment, or try to do a real deploy, Nanobox will basically just get stuck here. It's just waiting for an IP, waiting for an IP, waiting for an IP, and I can run this forever and it won't find one. And if I stop, then the machine is actually already running now, but it didn't get its IP. I think it must be some permissions thing that changed in Windows maybe. Got run Nanobox machine, stop Nanobox. That's because the virtual machine is actually running. So open this, it doesn't seem like it's running, but it is running. So I can kill it here or run this command as it said. But in any case, it's just not getting the permissions it needs. I believe it doesn't have the permission it needs to set up or to configure a DHCP server, but I don't know. And I looked through all my settings in Windows. I uninstalled Nanobox, and I reinstalled it, and I uninstalled Nanobox and Virtual Machine. Then I did a whole reset of Windows, like an in-place system restore, which would handle any sort of corrupted system files or program files. And it's still not running. So that tells me it's not that something's corrupted my system. It's just it does not run on this version. So there are a couple things I learned out of this. One is you never really know if you're dealing with someone else's tool chain. Especially if it's got a lot of moving pieces. And the other is, let's see, what is the setting? If you go to your Windows Update settings, this is something I totally should have been doing before. There's a For Developers section now. It's new in Windows 10. And just a bit of background, I used to use Windows all the time before I was a developer. Then I became one and was basically only working on Mac from 2000, or actually only even using a Mac 2011 to 2016, and then I moved back to Windows. So I wasn't really using it for development because I still have my Mac. But there is this cool thing here where you can change to developer mode, and you'll get a little warning like this. Because obviously there are things developers want open that most users don't. Now it does all these little fixes to stuff that used to annoy me that I would change in Windows anyway, like showing the full file extension, showing the hidden files, showing system files, showing the full path in the title bar. All that stuff is great, and it changes some privacy settings, or not privacy settings. It changes some security settings, and it changes your permissions for running PowerShell scripts, and it also stops Windows updates. So you'll have to choose to get an update unless it's a critical security update, I believe. You'll just stay with your same stable version of Windows instead of it auto updating overnight and changing permissions and breaking stuff like this. So that sucked. That is a solution. Well, that is something I should have done, but as it is, given all the problems I had with Nanobox, I spent 12 or 15 precious hours on it. I've decided I'm gonna just abandon it and do things more directly. So I'm gonna do a new VirtualBox guest system, and it's gonna be a whole install of Ubuntu. I'm going to do most of my development on Windows, but I'm going to set it up so that I can mount my Windows files in Ubuntu and also run things from there just to make sure everything's working, since I'm going to be deploying to DigitalOcean, which is also on Ubuntu. So, new. We'll call this one Ubuntu. Oh, nice. Nanobox just auto-selected Linux and Ubuntu for me. And I'll give this 4K of RAM since I've got 16. And we'll create the standard image, dynamically allocated, and we're going to make it start at 80 gigabytes as a maximum. And that's just because it's not that hard to resize it, but it's a little bit of a pain, and I don't like messing with it. And now we've got to configure it a little bit more and give it some more video memory. Give it 36 megs, 32 megs, 40 megs, 40 megs, and the processor as well. Processor, give it 2. All right, now that that's done, we can start it up. Since I've already downloaded an ISO file, I'll just put that in. And let's see here. There it is, Ubuntu 16.04.3. And this will be the boot up disk. So we've got this empty 80 gigabyte hard drive. It's booting up from this little one, and I'm going to scale the input so that, or scale the view so that it's not too hard to see. There we go. Now everything is double size, so if your monitor is half size, you can still see basically what I'm doing. One thing about VirtualBox, if you're not familiar with it, is it's got this idea called a host key. This is by default, it's the right control key, or maybe right command if you're on Mac. Oh, there we go. And hitting that host key will escape you from the guest OS and get you back to your host OS so that you can do things. So like right now, all the clicks are being intercepted by VirtualBox. If I hit right click, it will do what right click from within Ubuntu would do. But if I hit the host key, which I just did, hit right click, does some Windowsy things now. All right, so we'll install Ubuntu. That's a bit more reasonable. Yes, we'll download updates. Yes, we'll get the third-party stuff like MP3 plugin as third-party. Thank you, software patenters. All right, so this is going to take a while. I'm just going to start clipping the video so that you don't have to wait while I wait. Yes, we'll erase everything in here because there's nothing on the drive anyway. Totally fresh install. That's fine. Okay, that's my zone. And oh shoot, looks like the scaling is not quite what we wanted. Make it 150. Okay, let's just hit host, which is right control, and F to full screen it. Yes. Okay, thank you. Now I can see. Continue. All right. So my username will be Alchemist, and the computer's name will be Lab. This is the Alchemist's Lab, and pick that username. I am going to install a password, although I'm not going to use it much. And that's because if you don't install a password, some things are broken. And I'm going to log it in automatically since it's on a virtual box anyway. Continue. All right, complete. Restart the machine. Let me get out of full screen. So we're going to have to reboot this a few times actually, because we've got to install host editions and set up the file sharing and a couple things like that. And anytime you want to do anything to the hardware or the virtual hardware of your virtual machine, you have to shut down the software that's running on it. Yay, we have a Ubuntu. Okay, let's close that. Now we're going to use devices and install or insert guest edition CD image. And guest editions is something that's VirtualBox specific, and it just installs a bunch of things that make your host operating system and your virtual operating system work together more nicely. Modprobe VBox SF failed. That is probably because I haven't mounted any drives yet. Okay, that's done. And I'm also gonna get some Erlang and Elixir installation done while we're here. elixirlang.org. Install. Yeah, okay, thank you. Unix and Unix-like. We'll add our Erlang solutions repo. Why is this full screen? I don't want that. Unmaximize, there we go. And we're also going to need Okay, and then we'll update. And in a second, we're going to paste this in. Yes, continue. Once this is installed, then I'm going to shut down the machine. While it's shut down, mount the drives or mount the directories that I want to share from Windows to the virtual box, and then start up again, and we'll have guest editions and all the things. All right, that looks okay. And reboot. Actually, shut down. Okay, it's powered off. So we should be able to go into settings and add some shared folders. And this one is going to be dprog. Actually, I think I'll include all of those, and it's going to be auto mount. That should do it. I'll restart it. And now in the bottom, you can see this dprog thing in the virtual box taskbar, or whatever you call that bar. And that means the drive is there. So let's have a look at this. Dprog. Okay, don't want to change the settings. Open Nautilus. And sf/prog. Do not have the permissions. Okay, that's easily fixed. Yeah, so it's sudo add user alchemist media /sf prog. Okay. Oh, right. It's called, the group is called vbox sf. Now can I look in the directory? Permission denied. I may have to log out and then log back in. There we go. Got all the programming stuff. So I can now go back to the terminal. Actually, cd media. And here's our old stat watch. Okay, excellent. So obviously this won't work exactly as is because everything is set up to use Nanobox and the config file, for example. And there is no database Go Nano, and these environment settings haven't been set. But I do have a working Elixir environment right here. Well, almost. So I've got a working Erlang environment. I will have a working Elixir environment in one moment here. After that's done, I'm going to cut off the video and do a follow-up where I install, like I set up a new droplet on DigitalOcean and set up an Nginx server, and then set up a Phoenix server, and then set up a deploy process. That's probably more than one video, but the VirtualBox is set up, and the path to being able to deploy my stuff without using Nanobox is well underway. If you enjoyed the video, hit subscribe. Check out alchemist.camp, which unfortunately is still not deployed to the new version because I've had these horrible deploy issues, but it is going to happen. It's the holidays now. Well, it's holidays in Taiwan now, and I should have plenty of time to figure this out. Till next time, code on.